This is an AMA Friday episode, and we are putting together the answers for the questions that you submitted on our Facebook group. You submit the questions, and we find the answers. Josh Michaelis is going to sit in with me for this December edition of AMA Friday. We're going to cover topics like, do bears spook at the smell of gunpowder and gun oil? Can dry ground lions make an eastern bear dog? Should we mess with Mother Nature and heat cycles? And finally, some realistic expectation for puppies and young dogs. We've got a lot more than that. We're going to try to cover it all on this episode of the AMA Friday podcast. Only on the Houndsman XP Podcast Network. Make sure you're checking out our buddy over there, LW Nixon, and his company at Cajun Lights. We've had several people that cashed in on the promo for November. They ordered lights, they ordered gear, they got leather patch caps. LW is taking care of them on all that stuff. We've got some good reports back from people who have purchased the lights like the Micro Gator, the Rougarou, and the Bayou over there. LW also just dropped a new hunting coat that he's marketing. He had specially designed and made for Cajun Outdoors. I've been wearing it. It's a great coat. It's going to be tough as nails. Can't wait to put it through the paces during bear season this year. Also, don't forget about Dogs Are Treed. I'm seeing a lot of the tie-outs popping up on our Facebook group. Guys are taking advantage of that high-quality system, that travel tie-out. Super easy to transport, easy to set up. Have her done in less than 3 minutes and have dogs tied out anywhere you're at. So check out Dogs Are Treed and check out all their products, such as Paws Are Protected, Dogs Are Hydrated, and their medical kits. Great company, great people that are supporting this lifestyle. Well, two great companies that are supporting this lifestyle. And we've got a lot more. You can find all of our sponsors who all support you every day at houndsmanxp.com. And when you go to our website, you can find links to our shop. Seth has been working overtime with Outer Agenda. Derek Tormanen at Outer Agenda has been cranking out the designs, and we've been getting them up there. We've got some new bear hunting designs and coyote hunters designs in the shop. So you can go to houndsmanxp.com, hit the shop tab. It'll take you right into our store there. You can you can pick the design that you want and help represent and support this podcast. Also, don't forget about us on Patreon. When you join us at the $12 level, you're going to get a membership to Sportsman's Alliance and get in the fight. Stop talking about how serious you are about preserving our lifestyle, and let's get in the fight. We're going to pay for your membership, and Sportsman's Alliance is going to send you a bunch of gear, including Hunt Stand Pro, a year's subscription to that, 2-knife set. It's a great deal. It's worth about $70. You're going to recoup half your annual membership to Patreon. Support this show, and also tell the world that houndsmen are serious about getting in the fight to preserve our lifestyle and keep the animal extremists from taking away more of our freedoms. Folks, it's time to get the tailgate down. The Old South Dog Box is rocking. It's time to dump the box. All right, this is an Ask Me Anything, an AMA Friday episode, and I'm not even sure which Friday this thing's going to air, so I'm not even going to get into that part. But cool. Yeah, we got none other than the elitist himself, Josh Michaelis, and the reason you're on here, Josh, is because you were asked for by name.
Yeah.
When
they said they wanted the elitist, they could have been talking about Finley.
Oh man, or maybe they were talking about Seth.
Yeah, they could have been.
Yeah, they could have been talking about Seth and his broad vocabulary.
Yeah, because he does have, because like, and this may sound like an elitist too, but I'm pretty proud of my vocabulary, and I've got a pretty good one. And then Seth says something, I'm just like, what the F does that mean?
No kidding.
It makes me feel dumb.
Me too. Yeah, I was always proud of my vast expanse and knowledge of the English language. And then when you talk to Seth for about 5 minutes, you're like, dude, just talk in English. I can't understand what you're saying.
Oh, I know. Every time I sit down with Seth, which he's I love Seth's dogs. Don't get me wrong; the coursing dog stuff's really cool, but I get more enthralled with his biology stuff than I do his dog stuff. They're all cool, but man, wildlife biologists, I just want to pick their brain like crazy when I'm talking to them.
Yeah, he's a real gem to have on this team, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
And just being able to chime in and talk about that stuff. But that guy can turn any situation into a jackrabbit race. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's great,
He'll
man.
be talking about growing grocery shopping with his wife, and next thing I know, it's all about hares.
That's right, hares and long dogs and salukis and man, the guy's he's a madman. There's no doubt about it.
Agreed.
All right. Well, hey, the AMA shows are all about listener-generated questions, and we had a ton of them this week. And I'm not sure how many we're going to get to just because of time constraints, but there's a few that I definitely want to hit. Where do you want to start, Josh? What do you want to do? You've got a copy of all the questions too.
Well, I mean, there's the Chip Kosher question. As much as I hate to give Chip any more publicity than I know his head gets big.
Yeah, it does.
But he did.
And then he won't answer his phone. He'll be having so many phone calls coming in. Neither one of us will be able to get a hold of him.
You ought to ride around with him for a day. Like my phone rings nonstop too. I mean, but I will have 30 or 40 seconds in between. He don't. It's crazy.
Just one after the other
One after the other. And if it ain't that, it's messages and stuff. And I'm getting to that point too. The longer I hit the road for Joy Dog Food, And of course, a lot of my questions or a lot of my messages are from Houndsman XP Podcast and the Truth Series and stuff like that. I'm out there. That's part of it. You get it too. But it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, well, read Chip's question. Have you got it in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me.
I've got it.
Yeah.
I've got it. I've already got it pulled up, so I'll just read it. Chip wants to know the pros and cons of putting a good handle on your hound.
Yes.
That is that. I'll tell you what, we've seen kind of a transition in a lot of that, especially not only for me, but even in the competition coon hunting world. But I'll just let you. What's your thoughts on it? Because I think you're going to come at it from, that high performance competition coon dog angle.
Well, if we're talking about, let's lay out the pros first. The pros are obvious. And don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-handle on a dog. I'm anti-overdoing it. Because recall is important. Recall will save your dog from getting in trouble. It will save you from getting in trouble. It'll save you from being out there on a long night when you got to go to work tomorrow and it's 4 a.m. and that dog's banging around and you want to try to get some sleep before you got to go dig a ditch. There's a lot of
How would you
pros.
know anything about that? You've been out of that. Huh?
I've been out of that for a while. I did.
You did?
I did.
Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
But I've been there. I've been that guy that had to wake up in the morning at 5:30 and dig a ditch. And I've got this wild pup that I can't catch that's running junk and is through the country and it's on the neighbor and you just want to strangle it when you do catch it. And you can't do that because it's just going to be counterproductive. And so there's a lot of there is a pros. There's pros to recall. And
it'll keep you from getting scratched too.
Yes. I can't think of any major cons on the competition side of just pure recall. And that is either tone breaking the dog or when you tone break a dog, 99 out of 100 dogs that you tone break, you're going to be able to call back by voice without a tone to. And so there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of these dogs that are winning at a high level, you can still call off a tree. Maybe not a tree, but you can call off whenever you're in trouble and you need to go catch the dog. But there are other aspects of a good handle that are very negative in the competition side. And
such as what? Just lay them out.
When a dog has, because you can't verbally correct a dog in a cast. You can't physically correct the dog in a cast, of course, either. But you can't encourage a dog to go hunting or anything like that in a cast environment. And so when you get that dog, like all of ours are broke to walk out without a leash. They're broke to heel whenever they're they're not supposed to go hunting. And that can be a negative in a cast situation because there's a lot of times, especially with Con, where I've walked into him, walking to another dog treat, and he's trailing, and he sees our lights, and he's come to us before. He's had situations where I've went to recut him, and someone walked in front of him at Super Stakes, and he ran into the back of their legs, and then just stopped because he didn't know what to do. And I can't say his verbal command to get him out of there.
Well, couldn't you say that was interference at that point, though? I mean, another handler interfering?
You can, but it was also my fault for not getting that dog out of the way and get him recut the right way. So a lot of that was handler error. But when a dog has the mindset that it's okay to walk by you until you say otherwise, you're going to run into problems.
Let me tell you.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you, because I have gone through, ever since I started hunting out west and I saw how some of these guys are handling their hounds, and I'll tell you, it was Calvin's getting a lot of love on this podcast lately, but he deserves every bit of it. But watching Calvin recall his dogs and then walk his dogs out, you know, I had never really put that much effort into it. I wanted every one of my dogs to handle, but I was leading dogs out, and when I get to thick spots, they all know that they're supposed to get behind me. And when I say heel, they're behind me, and I can go through there. I'm not backing through brush and dragging through all that stuff. But, okay, so what I found is I was breaking dogs to handle like that. The recast was not as enthusiastic as what it once was, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I did. I got to the point where I realized that the click of that brass snap, you know, every time I say, okay, so just let me lay it out so you understand what I'm saying here. I'll recall a dog off a tree when we're coon hunting, and I'll walk a few feet or 25 feet or whatever, and the dog's at heel because I've recalled them and they're walking at heel, and then I'll say, you're free, and I'll click that snap, bang. Even if I've got to reach down there, just reach down there like they think they're hooked up and just let that brass snap, bang. Just that sound has made a difference, and I've trained them to that sound as they're released to get out of here.
Yep.
So that's one option, but
my verbal command for all my dogs. We're gonna, because Con's the dog that I put the absolute best handle on. This was a dog where Jed, when he was, I believe the dog was 5 months old, and I was doing some training in the yard with him, and the dog has always been, they're all real sharp. There's not very many dumb coon dogs anymore. We bred brains into these dogs that we don't give them credit for. They can learn just like my healer does some my healer does some amazing things. I can teach my hounds to do the exact same thing if I raise them like I did him. And so
you remember Elvis?
Yes, Elvis Attack is a prime example of pure brains. That dog could do amazing things. Yep. And we can do all that with ours, but some of it is a detriment. And so we got to be careful about what we're... Now, I was showing off, and I still show off with Con when I do hunt him. He's up here now. He's going back down to Texas in January. But I've done stuff with him just to show how good his handle is. You know, that was probably a detriment to his coon hunting, the competition side of it, you know. But, you know, you just got to be careful about how you do it and what you do it. My release command has always been get. I
use that one too.
Yeah. I actually got so bad that I named one of my females Get. Because when she comes stumbling into a cast on accident and she's walking behind me and they say, what dog's that? I can say, that's Get.
Did you spell it G-I-T?
No, her name was actually Get Rhythm. She was out of Duds and a Timber Tiger female, and I believe she's in Kansas now. She's a good coon dog, and they've done some winning with her. But it's, you know, Con had come in at Super Stakes a couple times. He's come in at some other hunts a couple times. And all I would have to do if I was pleasure hunting is reach down, touch the dog's collar, and say, get. And that dog will fire through there and get treat again. That's how I trained him. That's how that dog's been. He's 7 years old now. That's how that dog's been all his life. And but you can't do that in a cast.
Right.
And, so you have to be careful on the methods of release, the methods of recall, how you teach these dogs to do these things. Because you look at Scent and Rain, they'll all walk out with Scent. I leave the leash on her and just let her drag it.
Mm-hmm.
With Rain, you don't even have to do that. And these are dogs that are still competing at a high level. But we put those handles on them late in their career. They were, Old Dollar was another example. He was 4.5 before I decided that I was tired of leading him around.
Yeah.
So you can do it. There's a lot of pros. Recall isn't. I would suggest putting recall on any dog, whether you're going to compete with it or not.
Any dog needs a recall.
Yes, I don't care if it's a
I'm telling
lap
you right
dog
now,
or what.
This freaking Yog Terrier, that little sucker has got me pulling. I mean, he's just got me crazy. He will recall when he wants to recall, and we're. I mean, it's been a bear. But anyway,
I always recalled. I was just talking about how we do the recall. I always recalled mine the way I force fetch my retrievers, force fetch my pointers. It's put pressure on them until they get back to you.
The problem is he knows exactly when he's got a knee collar. He knows when that pressure is there. He's 100% money on when he's got a knee collar on, and he's got. I've got a plan. We're going to an enclosure. A small enclosure where he can't get away from me. If he's got the check line and the e-collar on him, he's 100%, man. He looks like money.
Yeah.
He's just 100%. But the minute he's off that physical barrier of the check line, then he looks at me like and then you hit him with the stimulation and he just puts distance between you. He's like,
really?
Screw you. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's like,
even if you leave it on him until he gets back to you, that's crazy.
Yep. He's like, hey man, I am busy. I'm doing something, and I'm out of here. So I've walked 500, 600 yards to get him after we've tried that crap. So the next deal is go to a small enclosure where he can't get away and make him realize that this isn't an option. But
when I was doing the retrievers, I had a 100-yard lane that was only 6 foot wide with cattle panel on each side or fence on each side they couldn't get through.
Nice.
And that's what I done my force to pile with. That's what I done a lot of my force work with. Even the tee drills, I had it teed off with gates.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was doing tee work, I could whistle them at the right spot, turn them around, give them a right, give them a left, and they could only go those directions.
Yeah.
And so that's something, if you can get him in a narrow enclosure where the only option he has is back to you to release that pressure, it ought to fix him. But some dogs can be smart and still stubborn.
Oh yeah,
He's Bogan's a fine example of that too. If those prongs ain't in his neck, he's real slow. Now he'll always come, and when I give him that real rough, get your butt over here tone, he'll get back to you. But he knows when them prongs are in his neck and when he's not able to get stimulus at all.
Right. Well, have you ever heard of Richard Walters? He wrote
he wrote all the gun dog books,
Water Dog, all that stuff. One of his pieces of advice I remember this. He said, don't fill your dog's head up with a bunch of superfluous crap, that they don't need to know. Mm-hmm. Just focus in on the things you need, train them to that standard, and let all the other stuff kind of go. Be patient with it, but things like handling, recall, you've got to be diligent about that stuff, but don't try to I'm in the same boat. Don't try to overdo it. My dogs, I guess my hounds know sit, and they know get back, and they know come. Yep. And they know heel. Yeah. But beyond that, I don't expect them to place train and down and stuff like that. So a handle on a dog is important, but my advice is don't overdo it.
Yeah. And you look at like Bogan, for instance. He has his only purpose is to bite things that I tell him to bite. and to come here and stay by me when I tell him to come here and stay by me. I've tried not to clutter. I've tried not to clutter him up. Like his sit is real. It's not sloppy. The minute I tell him to sit, whether it's a remote, away from me or at heel, is real clean. But sometimes he'll lay down when he's sitting. He doesn't have a lay down command, but sit, it literally means just don't move until I tell you to get up.
That's right.
I don't care if you're laying down. I don't care if you're...
That's good enough for me.
Yeah. As long as you have more than those 4 feet touching the ground, it can be your whole belly, body, head, whatever, or you're just your butt. You're not allowed to get up until I tell you can get up.
Right.
Right. There's no shake, there's no down, there's no roll over, there's no any of that, because the only purpose I have for him is to, bite whatever I tell him to bite.
All right. So to recap real quick, and that question was, we mentioned that was, thanks Billy for submitting that question. But to recap real quick, the pros are, for the recall, definitely they have to have that.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry, that was Chip.
That was Chip.
Yeah. I'm getting things confused here. I'm sorry. Chip, so recall is important. We've talked about how to keep things out of trouble and why you need that and how you can avoid being scratched and stuff like that. The cons are, if you try to overdo it, not only is it going to cause a lot of extend your training time with your dog, but it's also going to it could cause you a lot of frustration with the dog.
It
too.
could.
So there's a reason, there's a place and a level of reasons we need to have a handle, but we don't need them being circus trick dogs.
Right.
Elvis was amazing, but it's not necessary.
Yes. Elvis never won a world hunt.
There you go. Go.
I'm sure he was a great coon dog. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
But a lot of that stuff he didn't need to do the things that, the dog was born and bred to do.
Right. Exactly. All right. The next question we've got, and I'm looking through the next question we've got is, I'm scrolling through my phone here. I'm trying to find it. It was from Hunter Corbin.
Yep.
Hunter Corbin asks, could a hound that's been started dry ground lion hunting and trailing those kind of tracks be brought out east and used for bear hunting, or would that type of nose in the dirt trailing style be too slow to catch bears with? That is your question, Hunter. And I'll tell you what I did on this one. Since I've never started a dry ground dog, I don't claim to be a dry ground lion hunter. Josh Whitaker with Whitaker Brothers Hunting Company, good friend of mine. He's been on the podcast before. He's caught lions in Old Mexico. He's caught lions in Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado. He prefers to dry ground lion hunt. Because he's an outfitter, he does a lot of snow stuff too. But he has a good balance and understanding between dry ground lion hunting. And then he also uses those same hounds for bear hunting in the spring and things like that. And he sent some pups, around the country. So I thought he was a good person, and I got him on the line and answer this question for you. You good with that, Josh?
Yeah, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah. Well, let's catch his part.
Lord knows I don't know.
Let's let this conversation with Josh Whitaker and I answer that question for you, Hunter. I got Josh Whitaker on the line, and Hunter Corbin asked a question. I'm going to read the question, Josh, and then I'm going to turn you loose on it, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So could a hound that's been started dry ground lion hunting and trailing those kind of tracks be brought out east and used for bear hunting, or would that type of nose in the dirt trailing style be too slow to catch bears with? What do you think?
I wholeheartedly believe they can make very good bear dogs. I've seen it for years. I've seen a lot of lion bred hounds. Bear hunters take them and expose them to bears and hunt them a lot on bears, and they become outstanding bear dogs. I've seen a lot of them make that transition and make great dogs.
So those were dogs that were already started on lions out there, and then a bear hunter picked them up and took them, and they're screaming bear dogs.
Yes.
Okay.
And got some too that, I mean, we've got dogs that's been bred for lions for decades. You know, these lion hunters, I'm talking about guys that don't hunt bear at all.
Mm-hmm.
They've their own dogs. They've kind of got their own lines going, and they've been doing it for decades. And we've gotten dogs from these guys and started hunting them on bears. And I mean, they'll go from, we've got dogs that'll trail a cold lion track pretty much at a walk or a trot. And then, you know, some of them end up making the fastest catch bear dogs that we have, you know, the same dogs.
So what do you think is the key ingredient there that the hound needs in order to be able to do both or catch any game? What's your opinion?
I don't even think it's an opinion, Chris. I think that the fact is you got to have drive. I think drive is the key ingredient. And I think nose is obviously huge, but I mean, you can have the most powerful nose in a hound possible. And if they don't have the drive to use it, then you don't have anything, in my opinion.
That's been my experience as well. I've seen, and this isn't ripping on any particular breed. It's just that this breed has been bred down from its intended purpose for a number of years, generally speaking. Okay. I know that not every line is out there, so don't send me hate mail for this. But if you take the bloodhound, for instance, you know, scientifically, that is the gold standard for olfactory ability, able to detect scent. But you start talking about their desire to use it and the drive to use it, then yeah, they a lot of that's been bred out of them over the years. They just don't have the desire to track and decipher and things like that, like the old stock was.
Yes.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate mail on that.
No, I mean, it seems like for example, just because I know this dog, we've got a male dog named Jag that we raised from a pup, and he seems to us like he's our coldest nosed dog, and he may very well be, but I think he has just another bump of drive that our other dogs don't have. So I don't know if it's that he's colder nosed or if he just has more drive, if that makes any sense. I think some guys will confuse drive with nose at times, because it seems like Jag, like he'll push longer and harder on a bad cold track.
On a lion track.
On a lion track, yes. Or cold trail in a really cold bear track even. Mm-hmm. But it's not, I don't think it's the fact that he's got so much more nose than the rest of our dogs, because I don't believe that. I just think he's got more drive than the other dogs, and that's why he hangs longer.
So what happens when he gets to a jump or the track heats up? Is he still trailing behind, or is he running to catch at that point?
Oh, he's running to catch.
Is he running out front?
Yes, most of the time he is. I've got some dogs that can dang sure get in front of him. I've got two catch dogs that can dang sure get in front of him at times, but he will dang sure fly on one when it's right.
So just to kind of lay this out and draw a picture on this, just because he's a track grinding dog, when the jump happens, he's not staying way back there and thinking, okay, you guys go ahead, I'm going to track step to step. He's got the brains to pick that head up and know that we got to jump and I need to get moving.
Yes. Yeah.
That's cool.
Most guys that I know that my brother and I really look up to in the West, that's the way their dogs are. Yeah, they've got a whole pack of dogs that'll pound on a really tough track at a very slow pace. But once it gets really fresh, them dogs will flat leave out and go get them caught. That to me is the type of dogs that you want. You got to have a little bit of everything, obviously, but a lot of those slow pounding dogs, they've got some serious speed to them when when the track is right, they can flat get up and move.
Yeah, I think that's part of that pitfall that we all get into, the tribalism within the hunting community, the hound community. You know, we get these ideas, these scientific community calls it paradigm paralysis, where we get caught in this thought process and we just are paralyzed in it, where we believe that this color dog is better than this color dog, or this, you know, or this style of dog is, because it's being used in the Southwest. You know, we take a little bit of information and we develop opinion. Well, Southwest, the tracks aren't as good, so you need a dog that tracks slower and things like that. But a lion runs the same speed, and if you track it 1 mile an hour, you're never going to catch a lion. At some point, they got to get their heads up and catch him.
Yes, that's very true. And it's all about the dog's exposure to the quarry that you're chasing. You know, and that's why you can take these lion bred hounds and you can take them out east. And if you hunt them and expose them to a lot of bears, a lot of them dogs will make outstanding bear dogs. No doubt in my mind, they'll make outstanding dogs. But you got to hunt them, and you got to hunt them hard, and you got to give them a lot of game.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd like to take a ruckus or a jag pup, and I'd love to see those dudes get on an eastern bear and just see what they could do with it, for sure.
Yes, that'd be very, very interesting.
Yeah. Well, Josh, I think that's going to answer our question, man. I appreciate you taking time to sit down and help us with this, because you do a lot of dry ground hunting, you do a lot of snow hunting, you do a lot of bear hunting. So, I mean, you've hunted everywhere from old Mexico up to the snowy peaks of Colorado and Utah.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you having me on, Chris.
Oh, it's always a pleasure talking to you, Josh. Thanks a lot, man.
You bet, man. Take care.
You too. All right. So we finished up that part with Josh Whitaker there. I thought it was intriguing, and it was a dog. You know, Josh, in your mind, there's too many Joshes in this conversation. I'll just tell you that right now. We got Josh Michaelis on the podcast.
All the smart guys are called Josh.
Oh, that's arguable. But in your mind, okay, so in your mind, what is the most important factor for a dog to be able to catch its target game? What characteristic does that dog have to have?
They have to be intelligent enough to interpret the things that are coming through their nose, and they have to have the heart to want to capitalize on that. Yeah. It's going to be 40% brains, 60% prey drive. Now, prey drive is a strange thing. You can see it in every single. I don't care if it's a little lasso-opso on some lady's lap that sees something skirt across the ground that the lady throws, or if it's a hound that will really bang out a cold track and tree it, or something like that. But prey drive is equal to heart. That dog has to really want to. And then they have to have the intelligence to interpret the things that are coming through with a tracking dog, that are coming through their nose, and how to move that thing quickly. Yeah. That's basically it. It's 40-60 to me. That dog has to really, really want to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we get pigeonholed in these ideas that a dog from here won't work in a dog in this region, and if you try to, it's not going to the first day you turn it loose, more than likely. Right. If it's grown up in, you know, smelling sand and cactus buds in the Southwest, and you bring it back east here and you put it in, you know, a swamp, yeah, the scent picture is going to change, and it's going to take a dog a certain amount of time to get accustomed to that. They're going to have to figure that out. But if they've got the drive, if they've got the desire to run and catch game, if you give them the proper time to adjust and let them have that exposure to those environments. I don't care if you bring them from the swamp and take them to the desert, or you take them from the desert and you bring them to the swamp, wet conditions. That dog still has the same desire, regardless of where you're turning him loose.
The really great ones have the ability to block out noise and to block out things. they're singularly focused. You take a dog, say, the Burdens or the Ingalls or the guys in Michigan that are driving down to Texas and hunting and still winning. Those guys have dogs that block out all the noise. Now, to us, noise is things we see, things we hear. To a dog, noise is everything that's coming through their scent.
Yep.
Through their nose.
75% of the world they see through their nose.
Exactly. And so the dogs that are singularly focused, even if it's a new smell, you've been hunting them in the Midwest and you take them down into hog and armadillo country that they've never seen or smelled before, the great ones block all that out and they ignore that because that's not the game that they're supposed to be trailing. So they're laser focused, driven dogs that have a one-track mind. One-track mind, I don't know where that term comes from, but I'm guessing it comes from some kind of dog.
Hey, you know what? I think you just tapped into something right there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Hunter, I think to recap your question, I think a dog that it's got all the traits that it needs to be a dry ground line dog. I wouldn't be afraid to take. As a matter of fact, I talked to Josh after the podcast about bringing one of his pups back here and starting him on coons. So, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But that's definitely a dog that's bred for that Southwest environment.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be afraid of it. I'm looking for traits more that, the actual traits it takes to be successful running, catching, treeing game than I am, where it came from.
Agreed.
Yep. Well, I've got another one here, and this one's right in your lane. This is one that they named you by specifically. Billy George. Billy George asks. I'll just read his comment. It says, haven't been in a comp hunt in like 6 years. What advice would you give, and how much has the comp world changed? Maybe the elitists could chime in. That's you, Josh.
Well, since Finley ain't here, I'll go ahead and fill in and do the best that I can. We've talked about this on The Truth, and we've talked about this on the regular Houndsman XP podcast. And we've even talked about it with Heath and everything. There's a lot of levels to comp hunting. When people say, I want to go to a comp hunt, what kind of hunt do you want to go to? Because the local $30 hunts and the local UKC hunts, they haven't changed much. A lot of it is pretty much the same. You got a dog that's pretty good, you're going to win your fair share. You got a dog that isn't, you're going to get beat. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed in my eyes in the last 6 years is the high dollar pro classics. The pro sport has come on here the last couple years. Yeah. There's a lot of levels to this game, and the highest level has changed
Tournament
a lot.
of Champions.
Yes, Tournament of Champions came in and changed the game in the UKC side. There's a hunt that pays $50,000 and you're hunting the United Kennel Club. That wasn't there 6 years ago.
Nope.
6 years ago, we were going out to Autumn Oaks and competing in the Grand Masters with Trader Dogs. That was, I believe, a $5,000 or $10,000 win, and that was the biggest thing that UKC paid at the time. So that part's changed. To be successful, whether it's at the local level or at the Pro Classic level, it literally, people say there's a comp dog and there's a hide dog, and that's true on some circumstances. Some of the high level dogs are not fun to pleasure hunt, but a lot of them are. A lot of these dogs that are winning big are still fun to go out and just tree coons with. So really, if you want to compete and you haven't done it in 6 years, go there with an open mind. Don't go there with a chip on your shoulder, and go there with a dog that's really good at treeing coons in a crowd, and you're going to be just fine.
Well, that was short.
Well, I'm just saying that is one thing that has lasted the test of time. You got a dog that's really good at treeing coons and can block out all the noise like we talked about earlier. And by noise, I mean dogs that are covering them, dogs that are treeing coons in front of them. That's one other thing that we don't talk about near enough is some of these dogs are independent to a fault to where, you get that coon jammed on you out of the truck, that dog ought to be there. It shouldn't pout around and hang at that tree for 4 or 5 minutes and then decide to go out and tree its own coon. That's a fault. We've
glad to hear you
changed
say that.
Yeah, we've changed our ideas.
If you dump out of the truck and everything's it runs down this lane, and in the corner of this woodlot, bang, you strike a coon. I want my dog to be there. I want him. Do too. I want him to be the fastest one to get to tree. Yep. But if they're not, I don't want to be cheated out of that 75 or whatever it is.
Right.
And then on the recast, you can get in the world and you can do whatever you want to do. But
you've got between an hour and 2 hours to get that dog split up and tree its own coon.
Yep.
You don't want to sacrifice that coon out of the pickup. Unless your dog is just laser fast and more talented than everything out there, and at the high level, these dogs are all super talented.
Yeah,
they're gonna have their coons. You're gonna have to count on seeing raccoons every time you walk to another dog's tree when it's off by itself. So yeah, I want mine there. That's cost us some hunts because we have dogs that won't be there if everything piles in with them, or something trees in front of them. That's cost us a lot of money, and of course you can win with dogs that do that, but it's getting to the point now these guys are such good breeders and such good trainers, and there's so many good dogs out there that a common myth is a lot of these good dogs are gone. There's a lot of good dogs out there, and they're hard to beat. You better have an edge, and right now that edge is getting a piece of that coon out of the pickup.
I'll tell you one of the things that I've seen change, and it's not necessarily been in this last 6 years, but I entered my first competition hunt in 1985, and if you had a coon dog, a dog that could go out and consistently tree raccoons and be pretty common about it, then you could compete at the highest level. You really could.
Yeah.
I've drawn Beller's Pac-Man and hunted with Russ Beller and stuff, and he was a phenomenal dog. But the thing that, in 1985, if you had a dog that would go get treed and stay treed,
yeah, that was the main thing back then, was staying treed.
Yeah. I mean, with strange company, then you had as good a shot as anything.
Yeah.
The thing that I've seen, I think we have seen a transition period where we have gone from a bunch of guys with coon dogs that want to get together with their buddies and compete to more of a horse racing type atmosphere. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that own horses in this world, and they're pasture ornaments, and they ride them on the weekends. There's ranchers that ride them every day, but there aren't very many that qualify for the Kentucky Derby every year.
Yeah.
And with the money involved and the different things, what's at stake with all the different registries, we're starting to see that separation and that dog that has got what it takes and then is specifically trained and bred for that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
I do see that, and I want to say, I'm going to just throw a number out there. The dogs that compete at the highest level consistently, there's probably at any given time 200 of them in the world. And thanks to social media and all the hunts, and I mean, there's so many hunts now that these dogs can't be hidden. We talk about Mongo that's up there in Minnesota, and here's a dog that could win by all accounts, by your account and Strickland's account, and of course Chad Shima owns him, and by his account, Wyatt Monin was on the Joy podcast with me and talked about drawing Mongo and how good he was and how the dog was by himself and with coons. These dogs aren't hidden anymore.
Right.
There's no behind the barn coon dogs and diamonds in the rough. And so these dogs, they're known. We know about them. We try to get our hands on them and we try to go in at them. But there's only so many that can go down. La Plata's having a 64 dog hunt, $2,500 entry here in a couple weeks, and there's only so many that can go compete at that and make your $2,500 back.
Yeah.
We know about them, and so that's changed. That's one thing that's changed, especially in the last 6 years, is there's not any hidden gems. Every now and then you'll see.
Is that because of social media? Is that because?
I think it is.
I think some of it is. I think it's about But
I'd say 50% is social media, and the other 50% is these guys are looking now.
Yeah.
They're looking. The John Stricklands and the
That's
guys
right.
like that, they're looking because they can just go. They can go give you an obscene amount of money for this dog, and then they can go win it back. They could pay.
Right.
You look at Game Changing Paige just won another truck. Nobody had ever heard of Paige, but
That's
Strickland
right.
had found her. He'd went and he won with her. Big Country was the same way. You guys had her and you were competing at a local level, and then all of a sudden someone sees that at the local level because they're looking. Because they knew Ashley Oxendine was looking.
Yeah, he after he won those two national months, 2 months in the national race, then he started getting a lot of attention and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you're right, there's nothing hidden anymore. There's a lot of these handlers that are handling for the owners out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one thing we've seen too is and we started to see it back in the early 2000s and stuff. Owners that had employed handlers that's all they did. But now it's a real thing, and that's why I say it's more like a horse racing deal where, in the horse racing industry, you've got the owner, you've got the trainer, and then you've got the jockey. And we're starting to see this thing kind of take the same path, where it's going down that same road. So, yeah, that's the biggest change, I think. But to advice would be, I think you gave some good one. You gave a good piece of advice. Just go and try it. Don't have a chip on your shoulder. If you're walking into a clubhouse looking for a fight, somebody's going to give it to you.
Yeah.
And
speaking of jockeys, shout out to Michael Ward.
I haven't been keeping up. What's that? Has he been?
Oh, nothing. He's just really small.
Yeah, if the coon dog thing doesn't work out, you might start riding
he
some
could always
horses,
be
Michael.
a jockey. I love Michael. Michael's a good dude. I just had to throw that little dig in.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I think there's been some big changes. Good advice is to go with, just like the podcast we dropped not too long ago about, and he's talked about always be learning. That's the thing that I've always noticed about people that are successful. They don't go into it thinking they've already got it figured out. And learn it. Learn the game. Learn. There's a whole different culture there. So.
And when you get your lesson, it's going to cost you $30 or $50 or $200 or whatever. You're going to get some lessons. When you get back into it, these guys that have been doing it for a living, you still look at some of these top handlers, and they're still competing at lesser events too, and they're going to beat you, and you're going to get some education. Just chalk it up and use it on the next run.
It's the best $30 you'll ever spend.
That's right. And we got our, and I still get them. And the part of being a good houndsman is being humble, changing your tactics, changing your ways, knowing when your dogs are not at the level they need to be. Know your dog, know your ability, and don't be jealous or mad or angry. Just try to get better.
Yeah, just look at any professional sport. Take UFC, for instance. When UFC first came out, look how much has changed since then. The style of fighters, you never heard anything about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You had punchers. You had, well, you did have some BJJ going on there, but now you're hearing Muay Thai and you're hearing all this other stuff coming out, and you've got to be willing to change. And the guys that are successful at this have recognized that, and they've either bred for it, they've trained for it, but they've paid attention to what it takes to win.
Everything evolves. Every competition, I don't care if it's an athletic event or if it's with a dog or whatever, everything evolves. You look, of course, I'm a big UFC fan, and I watched the Adesanya fight, last weekend, and I never dreamed a Stylebender would lose. And, he gets knocked out in the fifth after dominating a fight, and, it is what it is. Sometimes that happens.
Yep. And you can guarantee that people are watching that film to see how that happened.
Yeah. And
the guys that are hungry, the guys that really want to win, they're looking at that and they're dissecting it and they're thinking, okay, what did he do that was different? And they're going to take it and they're going to capitalize on it and try to improve it.
The important thing about going into competition hunting, even if you've done it and you've had a break and you're going back, or if you've never done it before, is to know that you have to decide for yourself, and that all depends on the handler, what you want out of your competition coon hunting career.
Yep.
You have to decide whether you want to just go have fun and compete at the local level and take your lumps and enjoy your wins and just have fun, or if you want to do this for a living, because that is an option now. It's not for the faint at heart. It's not easy, and it's a long, hard row to hoe. But there's all kinds of levels. You just have to know what you want before you ever go into it.
That's a good answer. You ready to move on?
Yeah. What we got next?
Let's this one's for me, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's is this from Kyle Daniel? And this will be short, maybe.
Is it a hair care tip?
No, definitely not. Now, back in the day, I'm telling you, man, I never would have thought I never would have thought. You know how they say your baldness comes from your mom's side? I don't know, man. I mean, there was something going on there. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, nobody in my family is bald except me.
Well, you're the black sheep, pal.
You bet. My mom blames it on Desert Storm, atropine.
Yeah.
But who knows? All right, Kyle Daniel. Kyle Daniel asks if you had to choose only one dog hunting activity to do for the rest of your life, which would it be? Coon hunting with hounds, big game hunting with your plots, or terrier work, and why? All right, I've thought about this a little bit. I'm thinking that based on my experience, and this is kind of a complicated question because each part of it presents a different reward. It's a different challenge. But, coon hunting with hounds, and I'm not sure why he said big game hunting with plots. I'm glad he did because, diehard plot enthusiasts do not call them plot hounds. They call them plot dogs, or they just call them plots.
Hold on a second.
The one thing that I know that I don't want to do is spend the rest of my life coon hunting with plots. I do know that.
Why are they not plot hounds?
The diehard, okay, so there's still some rub with its inner breed politics. It goes back to, UKC adopting the plot as a recognized breed and calling it a plot hound when you had the original breeders of the plot in the Appalachian region that said we never bred these dogs to be hounds or plot dogs. So you've got a lot of traditionalists that still refer to him as a plot dog. So I would say Kyle Daniel is also in that frame of mind. So I appreciate that. Coon hunting with hounds is always going to be something that I'll probably always do. I think it's a great gateway. It's available to me right here. I mean, I live in the breadbasket of coon hunting in the world in Indiana, and it's just so accessible to me that I can't imagine having hounds and never hunting coons with those hounds. Big game hunting with plots, that is going to be that has some financial roadblocks with it. When you're driving 6 or 7 hours to get into bear country, and with fuel the way it is and different things like that, I've questioned a few times recently whether or not this is something that I want to continue to do. But let's just cut to the chase on the terrier work and why. That little Yog Terrier out there, he's a pain in the ass. I don't want to dig that sucker out of Nate Valley. Hallelujah. I love you, buddy. I'm glad that you like digging deep holes to get these terriers out. But I'm trying to figure out how to break mine from going in the ground after stuff. I know it's not going to happen, and I haven't been real. I'm just joking about that. But the thought of him getting buried in one of these creek banks, I'm starting to question my sanity of going and getting this yak. He's a hoot. He's fun. I love to coon hunt him, but I'm one of those guys that wish he acted more like a hound, but he's not going to. He's never going to. He's a terrier, man. He's a wild man. But if I could pick whatever I wanted to do for the rest of my days, the rest of my hunting days, I would relocate to Southwest USA, and I would be a bear and lion dog guy down there in those mountains. And Ben Lilly moved out there when he's 50, and I'm still in good enough shape that I can do that. And I just love it there. I love it in the Southwest, and the weather's not hateful, and they've got good seasons and opportunity and a lot of public land. That's the biggest thing that I struggle with as much as anything, being here in Indiana, especially this time of year with deer hunting, deer leases, things like that. You know, I'm kind of on lockdown, with the exception of a few places that I can go and hunt and do that without worrying about where dogs are headed or what they're doing. But I would like to be, the rest of my hunting days, I would probably take my hounds and go hunt bears and lions and bobcats.
Would they be plot dogs?
They'd be whatever dog is going to do the job right. You know,
yeah.
The just like Josh Whitaker talked about, you know, his hounds intrigue me. I've actually considered the next litter that Jazz has, that she's going to be sired. It's going to be sired by a plot. You know, and bring both those worlds together. And yeah, that's my answer to that.
I can't say as I blame you. I really can't. I mean, I know what my answer would be, and people may be surprised by my answer or something but I would almost pick a beautiful line of English setters and quail.
Yeah.
Because there's just there's nothing like that breed and that target animal to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my hounds and I love my beagles and my squirrel dogs and my retrievers and all the things, but there is nothing like an English setter that is really talented and really good at flushing one of the most elusive game animals on the planet. I don't care what you're talking about. A bobwhite quail, wild, is an amazing animal.
Yeah.
And they taste a lot better than a coon too.
Well, Seth says that jackrabbits are a superior life form. Do you think the quail is?
Well, I know jackrabbits will live longer than quail. Clay Newcomb was one of the persons that says he never trusts ground nesting birds, and I agree. And the reason I don't do it is because I had to pick one. You know, I had to pick between the setters and the walkers, and I chose walkers because I'd done it longer. I knew it was always going to be readily available, and I could compete with those better. And competition's still important to me. It was with my retrievers and every other dog I've ever had. I actually wanted to do some shoot to retrieve stuff with some of my setters, but they didn't have the point style that I needed. But yeah, there's nothing like it. And they're amazing animals that have been bred for so long, and they're so pretty. And the quail that specifically are such an amazing animal that that's one of the things that still intrigue me to this day.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I can't write off that trip that I make to the UP every year with Alan Gingrich, and just
I got to go up there with Alan one of these days
with his beagles. It's just a different style of hunting. It's more laid back. It's more relaxed. You know, maybe it's because I'm almost scared to get beagles though, because I know what I would do. I've done it with just like you. I've done it with every single thing. You know, it's like, okay, I've got beagles, now I want the best beagle. Yeah. Okay, if I've got the best beagle, then I've got to prove that I've got the best beagle. And that means going and hitting the competition trail. I think as I get older, then that means a lot less to me. And I just enjoy the value of the hunt. And I take different values out of hunting now than what I did when I was 30.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody
because I was
evolves.
Squirrel dogging. Man, when I was squirrel dogging it, I mean, I wasn't even fun to hunt with. I was just uber competitive, you know, driven to make if a dog made a mistake and everybody else is like, oh, just relax, it's no big deal. Dogs do that all the time. It's like, my dog's not going to, and guys are just like, he's too uptight,
Was that before or after you had children?
It was while I had children. I burned all my kids out on hunting with me.
Yeah.
I mean, just because everything was too serious.
I think my children, and God bless them, I love them more than anything on this planet, but they are a bigger reason that I evolved my hunting than anything that could ever happen. Because, first of all, if anything teaches you patience, it's kids.
Yeah.
And, I went from, if a dog looked bad, I had a bad day the next day.
Me too.
And if I was bird hunting, or even when I was waterfowl hunting really hard, and I still do all these things. I don't do them like I do with coon hunting. But I was just like you. I wasn't fun to waterfowl hunt with. I wasn't fun to bird hunt with. Because if my dogs looked bad, I was mad and angry and miserable to be around for days. And then the kids come along, and as they grow, they teach you so much patience. Because, it's not like a dog that's going to be gone in 10 or 12 years. These kids are going to be around until I die, God willing. Yeah. And so it's just a different situation, and they teach you, and we evolve and we grow, and our priorities change, but still, my dogs look bad, I still have a bad hour or two, but after that it's over and it's done. And I think I'm a better hunter for it now, especially on the dog side. I'm a better trainer for it for sure. But yeah, we evolve a lot, and everything may change again in 4 or 5 years. Who knows?
Yep, for sure. Well, Kyle, thanks for asking that question, man. That was a good topic to talk about. And I think we do learn a lot from our kids, and being parents. I treat my dogs a lot different now than I did then. So
I do too. I'm soft anymore.
I am too.
I get softer by the day.
Yep, a lot more. I think it's more tolerable. I look at it and I'm more understanding.
Yeah.
And realize that it's not the end of the world, and even with the. My kids are all grown, so. All right, let's move on. We'll hit one more.
Yeah.
We got a couple that I could not line up, and one of them is from Kevin Hall. He asked about radios and Garmins and things like that, and I wasn't able to get this lined up for an answer from somebody that would actually know. So, Kevin, I'm going to skip that, but I promise you that that's something we'll cover in the future. All right, Brenna Rochelle, this is her question, and this is interesting to me. It says, I have a 6-month-old puppy that I've been running on coon with an older dog this fall. Sometimes when he barks on track, I question whether he is barking on the dog track versus a coon track. How do I stop him from barking on dog tracks without preventing him from going out hunting with the others, or is it something that I should not worry about for now? Side note, my goal is to make him a bear dog, so I don't need him to be good at treeing coon. I'm just hoping to build a foundation of tracking and treeing before I start him on bear next summer.
A
lot going on there.
Well, the last part made it a lot easier for me, because always when someone asks me a dog question is, what are your goals for the dog?
Yep.
And so once we know the goals for the dog, odds are the dog is barking behind dogs.
Yep.
He or she is 6 months old. It's not built to keep up yet. The dogs are leaving him. They're probably leaving hard. He or she's probably barking a little bit behind him. And right now that's okay to me. That's not something I would be concerned about if I'm looking for a dog to run in a bear pack. Now, if that's a competition dog that I'm looking to coon hunt, that's maybe a problem that I don't like. But I wouldn't do anything to the dog. I would probably let it get matured up, get it back in the pack, and that problem 90% of the time, if you have a dog, which in a bear pack you want them to be together, that's not an issue. that's going to solve itself in my eyes.
Yeah, at 6 months old, I mean, we're talking kindergarten level type stuff, and we're asking them to go out and run with the high school track team or the professional track team. And it's just not realistic. It doesn't mean you shouldn't take your kid to track practice. It just means that you've got to have the realistic expectations. You don't want to discourage the kid from running laps at the track, but you've got to have the realization that the way you handle it now is going to have long-lasting implications on the performance down the road. And it kind of goes back to what we just talked about me burning my kids out on hunting. Too high a level of expectations and being too serious about it. I just like taking pups out. They grow up running loose here at the place, and they'll tag along with me. If they decide that they're going, they'll tag along. If they don't, I can hunt right here from the house when I've got young dogs like that running around. If they want to go, they can go. If they don't, okay, whatever. You're over there chewing on a bone, whatever. Yep. I don't care. And if they go out and they do stuff, they go do stuff. And just a lot of puppy time, man. We put way too much pressure on these young dogs to perform at an early age. And I think part of the thing that's contributed to that in the coonhound world is that baby stakes. Yeah. It's really put a lot of pressure on people. Not that it means anything if you win the baby stakes, except bragging rights and being able to post your picture on social media and talk about the successes of your litters and stuff. And I've come to the conclusion that I want strong finishers, not early starters. So
I'm in a little bit different boat for the simple reason that I can't set on a dog for 2 years to let it be good. I can't. I'm just not. I'm not in that situation. 90 out of 99% of the dogs that I sell to other hunters are between 12 months old and 16 months old. At that time, I can tell what they're going to be and whether I can compete with them the way I want to compete with them or not. But a bear pack is a completely different situation. That dog's got plenty of time to be a dog and to do what you want it to do. And say that dog's 2 years old, 2.5 years old before it starts showing a little improvement, or not even a little improvement. They should show a little improvement as they get older all the time. But they can be what they are going to be later in life and still be a fantastic bear dog for a lot of years.
So when we're talking about young dogs, I would disagree with you about the bear dog thing. You want to see that potential. And I think that gets into a different area of the conversation. You've got to be a good enough hound man or woman in this case to recognize that potential. What else is the puppy doing at that age that is good? Yeah. They're going hunting. They want to be there, so that's good. They've got that pack mentality for bear hunting. In a coonhound, you see a young dog that just has those flashes of greatness. They disappear for 45 minutes, and what are they doing? Well, who knows? But they're gone from my feet. Yeah. That's all good. So I wouldn't focus on this issue about the bad things that the puppy's doing. I say at 6 months old, if a puppy and he is a puppy because he's not even physically matured to keep up, the fact that he's going and putting in the effort, I think she's got a diamond in the rough right there.
Even as a coonhound, competition coonhound side of it, at 6 months old, I'm still giving them a lot of leeway.
Yep, me too.
The only thing they have to do at 6 months old is not puke in the box. That's it.
You're right. Yeah.
Now 8 to 9 months old, they better not be around me. By a year old, I want them treeing a coon by themselves, an easy coon.
Right.
I have those staggered goals, that I like to set for a dog. And don't get me wrong, there's exceptions to every rule. I've seen dogs that I didn't like or that I didn't have at the point that I want them to be at 11 months old, but still made great serviceable coon dogs. There's exceptions to every rule, but at 6 months old, if he's going hunting and he or she, I can't remember was a dog a male or female, but if that pup is going hunting at 6 months old and it's barking behind dogs a little bit, that's a non-issue even for me.
Yeah. Yep. Let pups be pups, man. Focus on the good things you're doing.
Yep. Let them be dogs.
Yep. Yep. All right. Here's the last one we're going to read, and we got to cut it off somewhere. But Chuck Reynolds. Chuck's been a great supporter of the podcast. I was glad to see him chime in here. So this is his question. I have treated a bear in training season and not had any trouble with them wanting to come out when I get there. Even at times try to get them to back down the tree. I'm paraphrasing here. For pups and young dogs to see to help fire them up treeing. And sometimes they still won't come down, but come killing season, they will want to come out as soon as I get there. I've thought about this for quite a while, and I have a theory as to why I think the bear smells the gun or the powder or the gun oil and has been conditioned as a cub. That smell means trouble. What's your thoughts on this? The first thing is, approach the tree upwind, and see if it makes a difference for you, Chuck. But for me, by the time the hunting season comes in, where it's taking season, and you can start, how many times has that bear been treed? How many times have your dogs actually ran him and treed him? I think there's a lot of factors there. The bear's olfactory sense is phenomenal, but I'm not sure that I'm buying into the powder, oil, and smells of the gun at this point.
Yeah, I'm not super qualified to answer this question, but I know game animals, dogs know when it's kill season.
Yeah.
How different are your dogs acting on that tree?
Yep.
Are your dogs putting more pressure on the bear because they know they may have a chance to have some fur in their mouth?
Yep.
Are they pushing that bear harder just because they know it's kill season?
The weather's changing. The scent picture in the woods changes.
Exactly.
You get that older dog that kind of, they give you a good race, but man, we see it even in our coon dogs, Josh.
Yeah.
Those nights when you walk out and the temperature's dropping and they're standing at the gate of the kennel waiting to go hunting. It's like, tonight's the night. They tell you when it's a good night.
You can always tell when a cold front's coming in with all these dogs.
Deer
Con's out there pacing right now, chirping around, wanting to go hunting. Even Duds, who's 12 years old and running loose in the yard, came out to greet me tonight when I went to go do chores.
Yeah.
And was wagging his tail and wanting to jump in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
The dogs know, the bears know, the coons know.
The deer know.
They know when how many deer do you see in August that you can walk right up to, at noon, and they don't do nothing, and then you bust that big buck in November, and he's 2 counties over. You
never see him.
These animals have an ability and senses that we cannot fully understand.
Just the amount of daylight. You take a bear.
I don't care if it's our dogs or our bears or whatever. There's things that we can't comprehend that they know that we don't.
You take a bear, for instance. He's lived through, maybe 2 seasons, 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And I know Chuck's from Virginia, so we're not talking about the North River country or the Salmon River. There's a good chance that bear's seen some dogs.
Yeah.
So
there's a good chance that bear's seen other bears during bear season. Larry was here yesterday. Them dogs treat him. He ain't here today.
Right.
So.
I was eating acorns with Larry yesterday. And Larry bought the farm.
Exactly.
But, daytime, there is a photos, there is something to the photo sensibility in wildlife. It's how deer grow antlers. It's how, just different things that it'd be like us not knowing. We know, and they know.
Yeah. I mean, when you walk into the house at night and you think those coons are moving tonight, that dog has that same sense.
Yep.
And that bear has that same sense.
Yeah, they make a living on it, man.
Exactly.
They make a living on it. So, Yeah, thanks, Chuck. We appreciate all the support you've given us over the years and different things like that. And
I'd like to hear Chuck's theory on this as well.
Yeah, I would too.
He gets a chance. Send that to us.
Yeah, send me a message. Tell me what your theory is. We'll talk about it. We'll do a follow up on that one because, yeah, good point. I'd like to hear his theory too. He's got one.
Yeah, my theory is that bears are just overgrown raccoons anyway. So I mean, this may do me some good.
Yeah. I think that's going to do it. I think we've covered everything. There is one more if you want to tackle it here.
I'm all ears, pal.
And I got to read this one because Steve Bennett and I have been hunting together since we were kids. Is there a good, safe way to change a female's heat cycle to not interfere with certain major events? Drugs, breeding. Seems like it always comes around super stakes and world hunt time.
Mm-hmm.
What's your experience with that, Josh? Your non-scientific, non-veterinary medicine type opinion on that.
Drugs, no. I've heard too many horror stories. My brother's had trouble with Venus. We had trouble with the Missy female when I was young. No, I wouldn't interfere chemically with their heat cycle. Breeding, yes, if you want. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want pups out of this dog, don't just breed her to some random male just to get her heat cycle changed. But, find the right stud, do the right thing, get pups that you would want to buy and raise and train. You can change it a little bit then, but even then, it seems like with our females that their heat cycle moves back, into that original position.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not going to change it for long. You may get a year of super stakes or world hunt out of that dog that you wouldn't have got, but eventually you're going to get right back in the same boat. Just my advice is to just enjoy your dog. You obviously got a good dog if you're worried about super stakes and world hunt. Enjoy the fact that you have her and that you were blessed with her, and raise some wonderful pups out of her and keep a male next time.
Yeah, my old buddy Jerry Mall, he's like hunted females his whole life, and his theory is, females come in heat twice a year, and male dogs in heat 365 days a year.
I have better luck with males due to my training strategies and abilities, but by 6-7 years old, my males are burned out, and next thing you know, I'm packing a female to a hunt.
Yep. No, Steve, I'm with Josh on this one. Stay away from the drugs. Stay away from the shots, and that includes drugs that induce heat cycles.
Right.
I wouldn't go into that haphazardly. I would do a lot of research on that before, and there are some veterinarians out there that can answer that question a lot better than we can. But man, there's so many opportunities out there. Why worry about a super stakes or a world hunt?
Right.
And you can win a truck, you can win $100,000, and you're going to get the same benefits without having, I don't know, you want that World Hunt Championship title. It's a beautiful thing. That's what we all work for. But man, having a female that's Mill Creek Molly, she was the PKC money winner for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody ever discredited her because she was a female and she came in heat at World Hunt time. She was a hammer.
Yep.
So
no, you can still get all the good out of
Ruby.
a dog with. Yeah. Ruby's never won a World Hunt.
Yeah.
Ruby got. I think she got third at Super Stakes one year. But yeah, there's hunts every weekend. You can get your notoriety. You can get the good out of the dog. Just my advice is just enjoy the dog. The good ones don't come around as often as we like, and so just enjoy the time you have with her, and don't overthink it, don't overdo it, and definitely don't mess with what God intended.
Yep, well, that's a good one. Well, you got anything else?
I don't. Appreciate you finally getting me on one of these. I've listened to all of them, and I'm thinking, well, that's not what I would say. So I finally badgered you enough to get me on here with you.
It was just a matter of time for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah. No, this is a wonderful format, and I'm glad to be able to talk to the listeners. In this, it's good.
What's Joy got coming up? Anything you can let out of the bag?
We have some pretty good news with Joy. Of course, we got the Super Hunt coming in February. We hope to get you down there, Chris. I think it'll be fun. I think you'd enjoy it as well. And then we're going to start
in Mississippi.
That is going to be in Texas.
Texas, that's even better.
Just south, about 2 hours south of where you guys were for the Terrier stuff.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And then we're going to start doing the media coverage for the Pro Sport stuff, starting in Good Springs, Alabama on December 16th. We're going to go down there with some of our office staff. We're going to do a lot of live shots. We're going to do some edited stuff. It's going to be all on our YouTube channel. We're going to do stuff for the podcast as well. And Houndsman XP, of course, is going to be part of that because, we're one and the same. And so, Joy's banging. Everything's going great. And we're happy to bring this to the customer because it's part of the sport that we love.
Sounds good, man. That's why I love having Joy on board.
Yeah. We 100% support hunting with dogs. I don't care if it's bird dogs, retrievers, hounds. But as well as I do with me and Wade and even Chip and Chip Sr. and stuff that our hearts are in the hound sports, and that's what we want to support, and so we're going to try to keep doing that.
Yep. That's what we've always been about, is bringing these companies to the forefront. I mean, I look at it and I'm thinking a company that is supporting the most important parts of our lifestyle and the things that we love to do and youth programs and, why not? I want to bring our job is to bring this whole hound hunting community, all of its economic power, all of its political pull to save this lifestyle that we all love. So, and I found that Joy's on board with that.
Yeah, there are a ton of good dog foods out there. There's a lot of them, and we support those as well. But as a dog food company, no one's going to give Houndsman the support that Joy is. I mean, that's why I work for them. Other than them having a fantastic product, and that's why Houndsman XP, totes them, and that's why we're here. We just want to grow the sport, and we're happy to be able to do it.
You bet. Well, Josh, let's wrap this one up. I appreciate everybody that chimed in and asked questions this month. You're going to see the same photo. I'm going to get the same question. Somebody asked me again. I think Cody Lostro asked me, how tough
I'm gonna Photoshop that I'm with Stupid shirt in that picture.
I'm with Stupid. Yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna put it on the dog and you, to where you guys are both pointing at each other.
Oh man, that'd be good.
I do love that dog. That terrier's cool. Yogs are cool.
Yep. Yeah, he's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, they are a pain in the ass, but they are cool.
Everybody asks me, like, if he's such a pain, why do you do it? And it's like, because it's nonstop entertainment, man. I'm telling you, we were on the Freedom Hunters hunt the other night, and he was 560 yards away from me. It's like, what's he doing? It's like doing terrier stuff. Yeah, he was doing terrier stuff. I had to go over and fish him out of a big rock pile, grab him by the tail and jerk him out of there. Yeah. I mean, I was looking at this rock pile, and I was like, holy smoke, how would I, if I hadn't got here when I did, how would I ever get him out from underneath there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, he'll make you crazy. We treat on a big sycamore den right on the edge of the river. And my first thought, the hounds were there, and I'm looking around seeing when Tough's going to get there so I can grab him and tie him up.
Before you get him in that hole.
Before he gets up inside a sycamore tree on a riverbank. Yeah. It's wild. It's wild.
It's amazing. Buddy. It's amazing what dogs are bred for and what they do, and that's the great fun of it.
I'm the world's worst terrier owner. I can tell you that right now. I like taking pictures of him and laughing at him, but I don't want to freaking dig.
Yep, I don't blame you.
Yep. All right, Josh. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. Until next time, buddy. You follow your hounds, and I'll follow mine.
Thank you, Chris.